Robert,
Sir,
a little bit of good news now on this episode of Real Estate Chat with
John Perez.
and Robert E. That was a weird intro. Good news for renters. Rents have actually dropped for condos. And this is very interesting because not so long ago, you remember the time when rents were going into multiple offers. There was a scarce number of rental listings. Landlords were the landlords. They were the kings and queens of renting out properties. And while landlords are still picky, that hasn't changed. Rents have apparently dropped from this article in the Financial Post, which Robert shared with me. Toronto area condo market rents dropped the most in 15 years. Robert, why don't you take us a couple of key points in this article about the rents and where they're at and maybe reasonings behind that?
Okay, this is based on a report from Urbanation. Urbanation pays strict attention to condo developments, new construction in downtown particularly, but all across the Greater Golden Horseshoe. And from time to time, they make a comparison of rents. Now, these are new units that they're monitoring. They're not looking at all the resales. They're not looking at what happens in the back door for a 5-year-old, 10-year-old, 20-year-old. They're not looking at that. Um, so they look at how many new units came up and how many used to come up and active that are on the builder's shelf, and then what happened to the rentals. So supply and demand is the only thing you can talk about. You can talk about cost per square foot, price per square foot. Does it cover? Does it not cover? Everybody who's participating in this mom and pop rental supply business, those who, instead of going in the stock market, bought a condo pre-sale, sat through 5 or 6 years of construction, took it over during occupancy, rented it out. Now they have a tenant, are finding that they're getting a tremendous rent for a one-bedroom downtown, but it's a little bit less than it was a year ago. So this is what happens. That there's a market peak and then it falls off. It can't be the new peak every single day. So um, it's is it affordability for it to go from 2,400 to 2,300? Does that change anything? No, it doesn't change anything. They're still high. People are still paying it, and almost every rental that comes up, there's a prospective tenant for it. So I don't know whether they're trying to say that the sky is falling, or maybe the sky is falling, or if you think the sky is falling, you're right. I don't know what they're doing.
Well, I mean, they're saying that in some categories, they're seeing rents increase in purpose-built rentals, if I'm not mistaken. But when you're looking at where we as real estate brokers deal with the professional rental market of condominiums, let's just focus on the condominiums, obviously, because this article is condominium based. I've had our fellow colleagues say that, one of their tenants, renters, one of their renter clients who was paying X amount for this particular type of a unit got a bigger unit for less amount of money. Right. So that's sort of what's happening right now. And it's interesting that this is happening at a time where owners, investor owners, landlords are faced with, for those who have stuck to variable rates, like interest is now eating up into your cash flow big time. And I mean, if you had a fixed rate and you're still there, then that's fantastic. Maybe not as fantastic when it comes to the renewals, because that's going to change things for you as well. But one thing hasn't changed, Robert, is that I'm still hearing that despite the fact that some of these condo units have been sitting vacant for months, the landlord's not just letting anybody in. So if you're a real estate chat viewer who has liked and subscribed and are renting and planning a move, Robert, what do you recommend for renters? We don't spend as much time with renter advice. Like, what's your advice to renters who need to find a place, are either currently renting and need another place to rent, or living with their parents and it's time to rent?
Okay, qualifying is the tricky part. That you may want to live at Bay and Bloor, but you can't afford to live near there because that's super prime. So landlords who are holding their properties vacant are doing that only because the Landlord and Tenant Act is so onerous and so in favor of the tenant that if the landlord's plan is to sell it, then they don't want to take on that obstacle. Now, the other part is for the first year, they must, in order to take advantage of a tax incentive, they must rent it out for a year or enter into a lease for a year to get a good portion of the GST, HST refunded to them. So it's a whole complex incentive, disincentive monkey business that's going on. So why do we not want to see a boom? Because there's always a bust that follows. So that's what we saw in condos. Everybody and his sister's friend was buying a pre-sale condo for $1,300 a month. Some of those projects have not gone ahead. Some of those were disastrous investments, and they're going to have to hold on to them for 15 years just to come back to zero. And some of those people, if they're going to subsidize it, they're going to subsidize what the rent doesn't cover, are going to go in through a terrible time. Others are going to dump it saying, I can't have this anymore. So it's a sad situation that has not yet fully unfolded.
Well,
And I'm not looking forward to it, but it might be ugly.
that's it right there. It has not fully unfolded. And so, I mean, if you're on the investor side of this, you're feeling the pinch or more than that. But if you're on the tenant side and you're looking for a rental, this may present opportunities, but as Robert said, you've got to understand what you can afford, have your documents ready, have your credit, clean as much as possible, get those references. And always watch episodes of Real Estate Chat because we'll always give you tips and advice to help you navigate the real estate market properly. Thanks for watching this episode. If you have any questions about renting, leave them into the comments, and we'll see you in the next episode. Take care. Bye for now.
Bye for now. See ya.